When I first saw her, she was sitting alone at the corner table of the little cafe near the river, her hands wrapped around a cup that had long gone cold. Her name was Elena, soft eyes, nervous smile, and a silence around her that wasn't sad, it was gentle, almost protective. She lifted her head when she saw me walk in but quickly looked away again, pretending to be busy stirring a drink that didn't need stirring. She didn't hear the bell above the cafe door. She didn't hear anything. Elena was born deaf, and though she carried that fact with quiet strength, the world didn't always know how to carry it with her. I didn't know her well back then. She lived a few houses down, always waving politely whenever our paths crossed. But that evening she wasn't waving. She looked like she was trying very hard not to cry. I walked over slowly, unsure if I should interrupt. I stood in front of her, and when she finally looked up, her eyes were already glassy. I pointed to the empty chair beside her, silently asking permission. She nodded. Her phone screen lit up. She typed something and slid it across the table. He didn't show up. My blind date. He left when he saw me. Didn't want this. She tapped her ear lightly. I understood. And for a second, I felt anger rise in me. Anger towards someone who hadn't even bothered to see her heart before judging her. I typed back, "He's an idiot, and you deserve someone who can see better than him." She shook her head. "No one wants a silent wife." I didn't think, I just typed, "You make a different kind of wife." She read it, her lips parted. Confusion, surprise, and a small, trembling smile appeared. And then she laughed soundlessly, beautifully, shoulders shaking slightly, eyes brightening in a way I had never seen before. She typed, "Why would you say that?" I replied, "Because you listen with your heart. Most people don't." That was the first night we actually talked. Not with voices, but with words on a screen, gestures, expressions, and pauses that meant more than sentences ever could. Hours passed. The cafe closed. The moon climbed high. And still we sat there, learning each other one typed message at a time. The next morning she stood outside my door. I opened it to find her holding a small notebook and a pen. She pointed at it and smiled shyly, her way of saying she wanted to talk again. From that day on, the notebook became our shared language. We sat in the park writing jokes, dreams, frustrations. I learned basic sign language for her. She learned my habits, how I tapped my fingers when I was thinking, how I looked away whenever I was embarrassed, how I always tried to hide my smile but failed. People stared sometimes, when she signed too loudly with her hands, when I moved my lips slower so she could read them, when I bent down so she could see my face clearly. But every time I saw her eyes sparkle with amusement or warmth or gratitude, the stares felt like nothing. One evening as we were walking home, a group of boys passed by. One of them said loudly, "Is she mute too, or just broken?" Elena froze. She lowered her head. Before I could stop myself, I stepped forward and said, "She hears more than you ever will." The boys laughed and walked away. She looked up at me with tears she was trying so hard to hide. I signed the words slowly, clumsily, but from the heart, "You are perfect." She didn't sign anything back. She just stepped closer and hugged me tight. And in that moment, the world felt quiet in a way even I could understand. Over months, we grew into something neither of us tried to name. We cooked together. She chopped vegetables, I stirred the pot. We watched movies with subtitles and laughed at the same scenes. We walked by the river at night, her hand brushing mine, hesitant but hopeful. She started smiling more. I started feeling like my life had been waiting for hers all along. One winter evening, she invited me to her house. Her parents were there. They liked me, too much. They kept signing to each other, full of bright glances and raised eyebrows. I didn't know what was happening until her mother handed me a page from her notebook. "She talks about you every day. She thinks she isn't enough for you." I turned to look at Elena. She was biting her lip, cheeks flushed, fingers nervously twisting the edge of her sweater. I took the notebook and wrote one sentence, "You are more than enough." Her eyes widened. Then she stood, walked toward me, and gently held my face between her hands. She leaned in, slow, unsure, searching my eyes for permission. I nodded, and she kissed me, soft, careful, as if she was afraid the world might shatter if she touched me too strongly. That kiss changed everything. After that, the silence between us wasn't empty. It was full of promises, of comfort, of understanding deeper than sound. One night we were sitting on the rooftop watching city lights flicker. She took her notebook, wrote something, and placed it in my hands. "Do you think someone like me can be a good wife someday?" I didn't write anything. Instead, I reached out, took her hands, and signed, slow, shaky, but clear, "You already are. You were never someone like you. You're just you. And that's who I want." She covered her mouth with her hands, tears streaming, not of sadness but relief, joy, and something tender, fragile, beautiful. She leaned on my shoulder. I placed my arm around her, and in that quiet moment she whispered, not in voice but with lips I could read, "Thank you for hearing me." I smiled and whispered back, "Thank you for choosing me." From then on, we didn't need many words, spoken or written. Our language became touch, trust, and a silence that felt like home. And every time someone asked why I fell for her, I always answered the same thing. Because she may not hear the world, but she taught me how to listen to life. We didn't become an official couple at once. That's the thing about love with someone like Elena. Everything moves slower, softer, more meaningful. Weeks passed, and we settled into a rhythm that didn't need labels to feel real. Every morning she'd wait near her gate until I walked by, pretending she just happened to come out at the exact same time. I pretended to believe her. She pretended not to blush when I caught her staring at me. Sometimes she would tug my sleeve gently to make me stop walking. Then she'd take out her notebook and write little things like, "The sunrise looks better with someone next to me. Your steps sound different. I can feel them on the ground. Do you know you smile before you even realize it?" I kept every page she tore out for me, all of them, folded in my wallet like tiny pieces of her heart. One evening, she invited me to the small community event at the park, an outdoor movie screening. Families spread blankets on the grass, kids chased each other between trees, and the warm smell of popcorn traveled through the cool air. When we reached the crowd, she hesitated. Too many people, too much noise, too many stares. I offered her my hand. She hesitated for 3 full seconds before slipping her fingers into mine, cold, trembling, but willing. We found a place on the grass, sitting close enough for her to read my lips if she wanted to. As the movie started, she leaned her head on my shoulder. Not even the film mattered anymore. Just the feeling of her breathing, her hair brushing my cheek, her soft sigh every time she relaxed a bit more. Halfway through the movie, it started to drizzle lightly. People began packing up, but she grabbed my sleeve and shook her head. She wrote quickly, "Rain makes everything feel alive." And so we sat there, letting the drizzle turn into a soft shower. She held her palms out, catching droplets, smiling like a child seeing magic for the first time. I watched her instead of the rain. And she caught me watching. She blushed and wrote, "You look at me like I'm a person worth looking at." I wrote back, "You are the most beautiful thing in my line of sight." She closed her eyes for a moment, as if my words were something she wanted to feel, not read. Weeks turned into months, and her confidence grew. She started signing more boldly, looking people in the eyes instead of down at the ground. I became her voice when she needed one and her quiet companion when she didn't. But love stories aren't just made of soft nights and gentle words. One afternoon, I found her sitting on the curb outside her house, staring at her phone with shaking hands. When she saw me, she simply handed me the screen. A long message from her ex-fiancé, a man who had left her 2 years ago because he couldn't handle the responsibility of a deaf wife. Now he was suddenly texting her things like, "I made a mistake, I miss you, can we talk?" I felt something heavy settle in my chest, jealousy, fear, anger, not at her, never her, but at the man who had once made her feel so small. She looked up at me, unsure, scared. She signed, "What should I do?" I swallowed hard and wrote, "What do you want? Not what he wants, not what I want. What do you want?" Her eyes softened in relief. She signed, "I want to move forward, with someone who actually sees me." I felt my breath catch. But then she added, "Someone who listens even when I can't hear, someone who makes me feel enough." I didn't trust myself to speak, so I just wrapped my arms around her. She melted into me like she had been waiting to do it for years. A few days later, she blocked him. No drama, no anger, just a quiet decision from a girl who had finally learned her worth. One night she came to my place with excitement bursting from her. She tugged my sleeve and signed, "I want to show you something." She led me to the small park near her house, the one with a broken street lamp and a bench no one ever sat on. There in the dim light she took a deep breath, stepped back and started signing something. Not words, not sentences, a story, her story. She signed how she felt the night we first met, how lonely the world had seemed, how my message on her phone had felt like a hand pulling her out of darkness, how she had started to fall for me long before she understood it. She signed fast, nervous, passionate, her hands painting emotions in the air. Then she stopped. Her chest rose and fell quickly. She bit her lip and signed one last sentence, slow but steady. "I think I'm in love with you." My throat tightened. The world felt painfully loud and quiet at the same time. I stepped toward her, took her trembling hands, and whispered slowly so she could read my lips. "I love you too." Her breath caught. Her hands flew to her mouth. She closed her eyes, tears slipping out, tears of finally, of relief, of belonging. I pulled her into my arms and she hugged me with a strength she didn't even know she had. That hug felt like a promise neither of us needed to say out loud. After that night, something shifted between us. She started holding my hand without hesitation. She leaned into me in public without fear of stares. She laughed more, really laughed, shoulders shaking, eyes shutting tight, cheeks turning pink. She would sign, "I missed you," before even saying hello. One evening, I found her sitting on her kitchen counter, swinging her legs while waiting for a cake she had baked. She looked at me, tapped the space beside her, and handed me a slice. Then she wrote in her notebook, "If I ever get married, I want it to be someone who brings calm into my silent world." I wrote below her words, "What if that someone is right in front of you?" She didn't respond with a sentence. She kissed me. Slowly, softly, with the kind of love that knows no sound but feels like music anyway. From that day forward, I realized something. Silence isn't empty. Silence is full of meaning when you're with someone who understands your heart before your words. And with every passing day, with every smile she offered me, with every soft touch of her hand, I knew I wanted this girl. I wanted her laughter, her courage, her quiet, her everything. And I was ready to spend forever learning the language of her heart.